What lurks in the shadows when every light in your house suddenly dies, and you hear heavy footsteps creeping slowly up your staircase toward your bedroom door right now? Tonight, we uncover 20 genuinely terrifying true horror stories, bringing unsettling encounters and dark animated nightmares straight into your room as we walk the thin line between reality and fear. Our first tale begins in a crumbling Victorian mansion where a solitary antique mirror hangs on a peeling wallpapered wall, reflecting a dark figure that stands directly behind you. In an old farmhouse during a freezing winter storm, a lone night guard hears deliberate boots pacing rhythmically across the abandoned upper floor where nobody has lived for decades. A late-night radio host receives a live caller whispering frantic words from an abandoned phone booth, describing a hooded stranger standing just outside the glass door waiting patiently. While cataloging items in a dusty antique shop basement, a curator freezes as an old porcelain doll slowly opens its painted blue eyes and stares right at his face. Driving down a desolate highway at midnight, a lone motorist picks up a hitchhiker who vanishes from the locked back seat without leaving a single trace of evidence behind. Every night at precisely 3 a.m, rhythmic scratching and muffled weeping echoes from behind the bedroom plaster, growing louder and desperate with each passing hour. An art restorer notices that the Gothic landscape painting on his workbench alters its details whenever he looks away, adding new gravestones to the desolate field every single morning. A tired mother wakes up to static on the nursery monitor, only to hear a deep, unfamiliar voice humming a sinister lullaby to her sleeping newborn baby upstairs. Trapped in an office building elevator that plunges past the basement levels, a lone accountant watches the floor indicator descend into impossible negative numbers deep underground. Walking home through a towering autumn cornfield at dusk, a farmer realizes the elongated shadows cast by the stalks are moving entirely independently of the setting sun. Developing vintage black and white film in a darkroom, a photographer watches in horror as a pale, smiling face slowly develops in the empty background behind him. Fishing alone on a foggy lake at midnight, a man hears heavy, wet footsteps splashing steadily along the wooden dock behind his boat, stopping right where he tied the rope. A heavy iron padlock that has rusted shut on an attic trapdoor for 50 years suddenly snaps open with a loud metallic crack, releasing a wave of freezing air. A late-night subway train pulls into a subterranean station, and a solitary passenger boards the car, wearing an outdated winter coat and hiding a completely blank face. Crossing an overgrown estate garden at twilight, a traveler hears a sweet, familiar voice calling for help from deep inside an old stone, wishing well covered with iron bars. An antique grandfather clock that hasn't functioned in generations suddenly chimes 13 heavy, echoing strokes that shake the glass windows of the silent house. Working late on a laptop in a second-floor study, a writer hears long, deliberate fingernails dragging slowly across the glass pane outside, high above the ground. Reviewing security camera footage from an empty home, a homeowner watches a tall, gaunt figure walk calmly through the living room walls and stand by the bed. Descending into the stone basement of a historic library, a researcher walks down flight after flight of stairs for 20 minutes, realizing the exit door has vanished entirely. An old analog transistor radio left on the kitchen counter begins broadcasting names and home addresses in a mechanical monotone voice during a pitch-black blackout. Sleeping alone under a heavy duvet, a man feels an icy hand gently wrap around his ankle, pulling him slowly toward the foot of the dark bed. Exploring the ruins of an abandoned 19th century orphanage, an urban explorer hears the faint sound of children singing a nursery rhyme down a blocked corridor. Washing his face in a hotel bathroom mirror at midnight, a traveler looks up and realizes his reflection takes 3 full seconds to mimic his movements. Living on the top floor of an apartment building, a tenant hears heavy wooden thuds directly from the ceiling above, even though the roof is completely sealed off. A lighthouse keeper on a jagged cliff listens to a strange metallic, scraping sound climbing up the spiral iron steps outside the locked tower door. A college student discovers that the food in his shared refrigerator is disappearing overnight, leading him to find a crude sleeping nest hidden inside his ceiling crawl space. An old rotary landline telephone begins ringing in an empty hallway, and when answered, the caller speaks the exact words the listener is thinking in real time. Waiting at a desolate rural train station in the pouring rain, a commuter watches an unmarked train pull up with no passengers inside and every window blackened out. Hiking alone through a dense mountain forest at twilight, a backpacker hears heavy footsteps matching his pace step for step just behind the thick curtain of pine trees. Hanging in the grand dining hall of an ancestral estate, an oil portrait of an aristocrat seems to follow visitors across the room with glowing crimson eyes. Sitting alone in a locked bedroom at midnight, a student watches a pair of human feet cast a dark shadow beneath the door, standing completely still for hours. Every morning, a homeowner wakes up to find her downstairs kitchen window unlocked, despite double-checking every latch and bolt before going to sleep each night. A late-night television broadcast ends, leaving the screen showing a snowy static display that slowly morphs into a grainy image of the viewer's own living room. Renovating an old farmhouse, a carpenter peels back layers of vintage wallpaper to reveal hundreds of frantic names written directly onto the plaster in dried blood. Trapped inside an old carnival funhouse maze at night, a teenager realizes the reflections in the glass mirrors are walking away from her into the dark. Waking up to fresh winter snow covering the front yard, a homeowner finds a single set of bare footprints walking up to the front door, but none leaving. Scanning through AM radio frequencies late at night, a driver hears his own voice talking hawk about the car crash he is about to experience on the road ahead. A wooden bedroom closet door that was firmly bolted shut from the outside begins rattling violently, as if something trapped inside is trying to break free. Lying in bed in total darkness, a woman listens to a heavy floorboard creak right beside her bed, followed by the sound of someone breathing heavily in her ear. Exploring a drainage tunnel beneath a Gothic city, urban explorers find a bricked-off wall with human handprints clawed deeply into the hardened mortar. Flipping through a Victorian family album found in an antique store, a collector watches the people in the photographs slowly turn their heads to stare at him. A lone traveler staying in a remote mountain cabin hears 3 distinct knocks on his front door at midnight, but opens it to find an empty forest. Sitting by candlelight during a power outage, a father notices his daughter's shadow puppets on the wall are moving and making gestures she isn't making. Walking through a dark forest trail at night, a hiker hears a chorus of voices calling out his full name from the deep darkness of the trees. Wandering through the surgical ward of an abandoned asylum, an explorer finds an old metal wheelchair rolling backward down the hallway by itself. A watchmaker fixing an antique pocket watch hears a tiny human-like voice screaming for help from inside the ticking gears and intricate metal springs. Standing on a coastal balcony at night, a woman watches a thick, unnatural bank of black fog roll inland and swallow the street lamps one by one. A bride getting dressed on her wedding day looks into her vanity mirror and sees a rotting corpse staring back at her in her white gown. Lying awake in a modern apartment, a tenant hears a faint, raspy whisper echoing continuously through the metal air conditioning vents from above. During a torrential rainstorm, a homeowner hears heavy, barefoot pacing directly above his bedroom ceiling, moving back and forth across the roof tiles. An amateur radio operator tunes into an empty frequency and hears his own voice repeating every conversation he had earlier that day, word for word. Walking down an empty city alley at midnight, a man checks his phone camera and sees a tall, faceless figure standing right behind his shoulder. A little girl's antique wooden dollhouse begins producing tiny, faint whispers and giggles from its miniature rooms after everyone has gone to sleep. Climbing up to his apartment at night, a tenant watches a massive, clawed shadow stretch down the staircase and wrap around his ankles. Walking through an old, abandoned farm at twilight, a traveler hears his mother's voice calling his name from the bottom of a dry well. Lying in bed during a blackout, a homeowner hears 3 deliberate taps on his bedroom window glass, located on the 3rd floor of the house. As the night reaches its darkest hour, the line between what is real and what is imagined dissolves entirely into the cold, creeping shadows of fear. Remember that some stories never truly end. They simply wait in the dark for someone brave enough to listen to the whispers once again. If you survive these 20 true tales, follow our channel and share this video with someone brave if you dare to face the dark again.